The following show is a Pod Avenue production. You are cordially invited to have dinner with the King. Pull up a chair and join WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler and Glenn Moore. Enjoy.
Dinner with the King, episode number 71. I'm Glenn Moore, joined here by WWE Hall of Famer Jerry the King Lawler. Mr. King.
Oh, I cannot tell you how excited, how upbeat I am for this podcast today. I've been waiting for this thing to get started. I'm just so excited. I'm almost giddy.
Wow, okay, King. I'll roll with this. All right. Excited to start the podcast. Well, this is going to be a potpourri of topics for today's podcast.
Well, before we talk about that, aren't you going to ask me why I'm so excited?
Why are you so excited, King?
I think because this may be the last podcast for a while that we do.
What?
He's looking around. Yeah, that we do in person.
Oh,
with
yeah.
you and I
It's
sitting
gonna be a while.
here at the same location.
Yeah. Well,
which happens to be in my house in Memphis, Tennessee.
the King's Castle.
King's Castle. And look back there. Is the Batmobile still sitting back
It's
there?
still back there.
Batmobile's
Scooter
back there.
too. Scooter's back there.
Yes. A scooter.
A scooter.
But the Batmobile's the main thing we got to check on.
Yeah.
But yeah, because I guess I'm going tomorrow to New York City, and you're going back to Cleveland.
Back home to Cleveland.
Just
And
in
then-
time. You're going to be there just in time for the big playoffs with the Indians.
Yeah. And then you have a busy month. We'll get into that a little bit later, but you have a busy month in October where, you know, King, I know you love monsters. You love.
What does that mean?
You love horror movies. I mean, it's
okay.
a month of October for Halloween,
Yes.
but you're going to be gone for so many days out of this month. You're going to have a good chance to celebrate Halloween here in Memphis.
I know it. And, it just seems like the time you get to celebrate Halloween every year just gets more and more intruded on by Christmas.
Christmas.
Yeah, every store
September,
you go in,
yeah.
every store you go in now, Christmas stuff is already out all over the place. I think the main store that puts it out quicker than anybody, Hobby Lobby.
Yeah.
You ever go into a Hobby Lobby?
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's like the end of July, and it's all Christmas.
Yeah.
But anyway, it's all good stuff. But October's really busy. I do like the monster movies, and I like to celebrate Halloween. But as you said, Lauren has already put up a lot of Halloween decorations. You even said just a few minutes ago as we came in the front, is this all the decorations you put up? But this year's a little sparse, a little light because we're not going to be here on Halloween. We're going to be on the cruise.
Well, usually plug where you're going to be this weekend or even coming weeks.
But I do want to say this right now. Anybody that's listening out there, like you people out in L.A., you celebrity burglars, I think they caught them. But did you see where the celebrity, the burglars have been breaking into people's houses?
Oh, yeah, Rihanna's
when
house?
they knew they weren't. Yeah, and LeBron James.
Oh, wow.
LeBron James, when he was playing the basketball the other night, boom, they got his house. But they got caught.
Well, remember the Super Bowl? Rob Gronkowski's house was robbed while he was playing in the Super Bowl?
Yeah.
That's crazy, these people. Well, with you, you don't have to worry about it because you have a very high-tech, advanced security system here at the
And
castle.
we got a house sitter.
You do.
Yeah.
And you have
He's
a
armed.
guard dog.
Big time guard dog, old Louie over there.
Louis will bark at anything.
He'll bark at anything, and then once you break in, he'll lead you right to the safe. Just don't hurt me. Don't hurt me.
But you're going to be gone. I mean, what do you have to come this weekend that you're going to be gone?
If trick-or-treaters, we're going to have somebody here to hand out some stuff and everything.
Well, Blake, I mean.
Yeah, good old Blake. We got to get, this would have been a great day to have Blake on to talk about the fact that he was Dr. Frank.
Yeah. You talk about music, too?
Oh, he will
Jerry
talk
Lawler,
about music.
yeah.
Yes, he will.
Get Blake on one day.
We ought to do that next week. Well,
I'm not going to be here, so.
Well, Blake will be here.
That's true. We can do that.
Let's see, next week, where are we going to be?
You'd be home.
Be home, and man, that's, you know what? On next, we usually record on Tuesday. That's when the Indians are going to be playing Houston next Tuesday.
In Cleveland.
In Cleveland.
Might be going.
Wait a minute. Is that going to be in Cleveland next Tuesday?
Yeah, that's to be game 3.
Man, we may have to go.
You're going to go from the Cleveland?
I may have to come up to Cleveland.
You ain't coming to Cleveland.
Listen, let me just tell you. I think that my You know what? I don't know if I can put this on. I don't know if it's been announced. Have the umpires been announced yet for that series?
I would not say anything, please. When it comes to betting and people, and stuff like that, I don't think you should announce stuff like that.
Okay.
Because I'm sure there's tendencies.
But I mean, no. Once the umpires are announced, it's okay, right?
I think so. Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah,
I may come up to Cleveland for a game.
Oh, nice.
That'd be nice.
Why don't you save it for the World Series?
If they're in the World Series, I'll definitely come to a game.
We'll get you in for free.
How's that?
There's a way to get in Jacobs Field for free. There was a way. The World Series, I'll tell you a quick story. 2016 World Series, Chicago Cubs. I was in the media, so I know every single gate and whatnot. My one friend, she snuck into the World Series, Game 7 of the World Series.
Oh, my goodness.
There is one gate that has one guard, and one friend would distract the guard, have his back turned to the gate. She would guard right behind him. I swear. And they kept doing it.
You were like literally sneaking in.
She was literally sneaking in with.
But then, what would you do once you were in?
Just stand, standing room only.
Oh.
Or go left field porch.
Yeah.
Or just stand along the
up there?
lower deck. Yeah. Just to get in. That'd be great. I mean,
No, that's
I'll
not
probably
great.
get caught.
That's not great. I can buy a ticket. Don't worry.
You're fine. You're fine.
And speaking of ball games, you were the guest. You got to see one of my softball games the other night.
I did.
First time ever that you've witnessed my team play softball, right?
I was impressed. I was thinking, okay, this is probably a mediocre, team, but you guys came out 16 runs in the first inning.
that was honestly that was a little bit unusual, but yeah, we batted around, and my number 4 hitter, my cleanup guy, hit 2 home runs.
Yeah.
No. That was. I'm thinking of the game before that. Before last week before last we got rained out, but the week before that we scored like 18 runs in the first inning. I've never even been in a game like this. My cleanup hitter, we batted all the way around. He hit 2 grand slams in 1 inning.
That's amazing.
It's never been done before, and but he had a big home run in this past week's game, and it was a good game, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was fun, except for the Skeeters.
Yeah, oh man. They were out in full force. But yeah, we played a good team, a bunch of young guys, and I think, when they come up and they see the old has-been king playing first base and, coming up to bat and everything, and some of my guys are – but I don't think there's anybody on my team. Some of the guys, Ricky Grisham been playing for me for probably 25 years.
Oh, wow.
And Spanky, Andy McDowell or McDaniel. He's been playing a long time.
Do you, King? Do you ever get trash talking from other teams? Maybe.
Oh yeah. There's one other team. As a matter of fact, one of the guys played with us the other night. But there's one other team out there, Teague and all of his guys that we've played against each other every year and every season we play each other 2 times at least. And a lot of these guys have played for me in the past and they do a lot of trash talking. Yeah.
Well, what do they say?
What do they say?
Yeah. What can get underneath the King's skin when it comes to softball trash talk?
I'll never forget.
I'm a Bill Dundee fan.
Hey, this is good. Lauren, what's the guy, baby? Where are you going? What's the guy's name that plays on the other team that he's played for us a couple times? The little skinny guy, Chad Harmon. There you go. Thank you. Chad Harmon plays on the other team, and one time this really got under my skin, and I'll bet he didn't even. He's probably said it to a lot of people and probably didn't even think anything about it. But he hit a ball like a scorcher right down the first base line, right?
Okay.
And I couldn't get to it, right? It went right by me for a base hit, and he said, as he came down to first base, stopped at first base, he said, don't feel bad. Even a good player couldn't have caught that one.
Oh, you get hot?
A little bit. I didn't show it. I didn't say it. That was hot, but that was a good line. Even a good player wouldn't have caught that.
You got a couple hits?
Got a couple hits, 2 for 3. Yeah, we did good. Everybody did well. Run ruled. 22-6 was the final score.
Early.
Got out of there early. Went over and had some wings at East Coast Wings.
Yeah. No, it was fun to watch you play first base and see you out there playing. From 22-6 was the final score, I believe. So it was fun. Sir. I think I've experienced everything Memphis when it comes to the Jerry Lawler experience. Softball, you got the barbecue restaurant, we got the club on Beale Street.
You know, one thing you didn't. We still have time today because we are taping this on a Wednesday.
Okay.
And you know what Wednesday is out at my restaurant in Germantown?
99-cent rib day.
99-cent rib day. Wednesdays is 99-cent rib day. And what'd you figure out? For $20, you could get.
Well, no, for $16. I mean, a rack is what? 8 ribs?
8 or 9, yeah, something like that.
Okay, so around $20, so you can get two racks of ribs.
Yeah.
So that's unbelievable.
I don't believe even you could eat 2 racks of ribs.
Not today.
Not today. But anyway, yeah. So you haven't experienced the 99-cent rib day, but just about everything else in Memphis.
Every restaurant thinkable that Jerry likes to go to, I've been to.
Because we eat out every meal.
Well, and I finally got my official visit to the Mid-South Coliseum the other day.
You did?
Yes, we drove around it.
And it was all boarded up and chained up and everything, but the king found a way, right?
The king found a way. Well, they had a fair going on.
Yeah, that's not the reason that the entrance was, all tied up off of Southern Avenue there.
Oh, okay.
I kind of ribbed you. I said, "Get out! Just get out! Pull that gate."
So there's the ring barrier gates.
Yeah.
That were blocking this driveway into the Mid-South Coliseum that we try to go to. So the king pulls up, and we're Peyton, our third co-host, is in the car too. And King tells me, "Oh, Glenn, why don't you move one of those gates? Just so that we can drive through."
I'll drive right in.
So just drive right in. So I go the first, the middle one, so we can go right through. It's like locked. They're bent so that you can't lift them up.
Right.
So I keep doing 2 or 3 of them just to see which one will get up. None get up. So as I go back to the car, Jerry goes, No. The one over the far left one, you can do that. Second to the left. I go back like an idiot.
I just told Peyton, I said, "Watch this. I'll make him try every one of those things."
And then you go, "No, the next one." And the idiot, I'm doing it. "No, the next one, Glenn." I've done all of them. I look at the king, and he's just laughing, and Peyton's laughing in the car, and I was duped.
And then I said, "Really, that last one, just pull it over a little bit, and I'll go right between the telephone pole and the gate, up in the grass, and out through the field there in the grassy area."
Yeah.
And we did. We got up there and went through and went close up to the Coliseum. But I mean, you got as close as anybody can get. You can't get inside anymore. So we went around to the back, saw the old VIP entrance. And
yeah. I think it's used. We saw a lot of garbage trucks and city trucks. So
they're using the very back area there for some not necessarily storage, where you're right parking some city trucks and stuff back there. But it's a shame that beautiful building. I mean, does it look? It looks like as good as brand new, doesn't it? From the outside.
Oh yeah, it looks great. I mean, yeah. Kevin, your son Kevin, he, I told him that we went to Mid-South Coliseum. He goes, "Oh, I think they're doing a walkthrough in the next couple of months or something like that."
Oh, maybe.
To open it up, not to open it up everybody, but to have some people walk through.
Yeah. Well, I told you, Dave Brown and I got to do that.
Yeah.
A few months back and go in and look at the place, and it's, they don't have any lights or electricity or anything turned on in there where you can see anything. You got to take your own flashlight but we went all the way up to the top to the sound area at the top of the Coliseum, and it's crazy. There's so much in there. You go in the offices and stuff. The place though has obviously been pretty much ransacked. There's been some vandals. Not looters, but vandals. There's the word. Vandals have broken windows out and got in and come inside and gone through. But the crazy thing about it is, apparently they just all of a sudden one day locked the doors. Didn't tell everybody. I mean, they never gave anybody a chance to go in and clean the place out or anything. I mean, there's all kind of documents and books and in drawers and all this kind of stuff in the offices in there. That's just they've all been kind of taken out and trashed all over the place on the floors and stuff. But it's just a shame that it's just there, stacks of old tickets from different shows back in the 90s and stuff. And
when was that when they shut it down without telling anybody? What year was that? Back in the 90s or?
No, honestly I think it was. I know we were still there in 97. And so it was probably early 2000s, something like that.
So it's almost 20 years probably since.
Yeah, that has been closed.
It's
up.
been occupied by working people that work at the arena.
Right.
So it's almost like going back in time.
Oh, it was. I mean, I was just walking around and just picking up things and looking at the date on them. You know, like I said, old ticket stubs and calendars on the wall that were. You know, it was really eerie. Yeah. And even I went up to the, there's the little ticket stand and little room that my mom worked in every single week, selling our wrestling advance tickets, and it just looked like, it was just open last week or something like that. Yeah. It was crazy.
I mean, it's driving around. I'm sure if those walls could talk.
Oh man.
Even the outside, what took place inside and outside the arena. I would love to walk through there and just look through. I thought the local paper got a chance to walk through earlier this year and took a lot of photos of what it looks like. And was there still the ring from inside there and like down in the
wrestling ring?
Yeah.
No, there was not any wrestling ring.
No.
And I was hoping to find like. Some artifacts, and we did find a lot of the cool old chairs, that have the Mid-South Coliseum You're
telling me the chairs at the barbecue restaurant are not the official Mid-South Coliseum chairs?
Well, there's official Mid-South Coliseum chairs out there, but no, those the ones from the Coliseum were the really bulky with a cushion on the seat, and then
I'm saying the one at the barbecue restaurant that you guys.
No, there's replicas of the Coliseum chairs.
So you found some chairs.
Yeah, and just all kinds of stuff that was really left in there. I swear, as I was walking around, I was just thinking, and like you said, if the walls could talk, of so many amazing things and people and stars and acts and things that went on inside that Coliseum. To me, it would be worth it instead of just having it sitting there closed. I realized there would be millions of dollars worth of work that would have to be done to open it and have it, have events be held there and everything. But I would think that it wouldn't cost very much at all, almost just basically a cleanup of the place, to have it open where people could just walk through and see it and make it almost like a walking museum, that you could just walk through and, pictures and videos and stuff of the acts and the stars and stuff that appeared in that building, and then to be able to walk right out onto the floor of the Coliseum where all of these people, Elvis Presley, the Rolling Stones, every kind of musical act you can imagine, all the football and not football, but all of the basketball games that were there, all the University of Memphis stars that played in that building. I think it would be cool just as, like I said, as a. I think it would be equal to any kind of attraction that we have in Memphis, almost museum-wise, that people could just walk through, that you wouldn't have to spend millions of dollars renovating all of the stuff that you would have to do to make it handicap accessible and all that kind of stuff for an arena.
Right.
But if it was just something that you could just walk through on a walking tour and be in that historic place, I think that would be a good idea.
Well, one of the things that gets to me is around the country, these cities, they destroy arenas and stadiums so quick. And we have all these historical places, a birthplace of a president or just regular spots around the country that are marked historically that can't be destroyed. These buildings and arenas and stadiums, they hold so much history, but they're so easily destroyed when they want something new. Yeah. Like Municipal Stadium. I know, I love
in Cleveland.
There. Yeah, I love going there.
Sure.
I know a lot of people hated it just because the way it looked and the way it was like going.
But it was history. So much history there, man.
Yeah. So keeping it open as like a real museum would be beneficial, and then get it cleaned up. Maybe host some events if you get it up to the handicap accessible. But just something like that sitting there that looks great on the outside. It's not like it's a abandoned, rotten building like you see a house that's been boarded up.
Right.
If somebody donates money or someone wants to clean it up, they could. And that could be another place where basketball games, wrestling shows could be taking place in Memphis.
Yeah.
I
mean, I would think that, like I said, I'm worried that it would cost more money than the city would be wanting to spend to get it to be an arena again.
Yeah.
But I think that you could very, very easily make it into a museum, so to speak.
Yeah.
And there could be, so many different types of artifacts and things to see in that museum. One of our prized possessions here in Memphis is the Pink Palace, and it's basically it was just actually started out to be a person's house. He ran out of money as he was building the thing, and the city finally took it over and just turned it into what has been our main museum in the city for years and years and years. It's basically it's been built onto a lot now, but for years it was just the size of a large mansion, like a large house.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so much you could do with a building the size of the Mid-South Coliseum down on the floor and then the mezzanine around without having to use all the seats and all the arena part of it.
Wasn't the Pink Palace something that Prince Mongo
No,
bought?
no.
What was that? Wasn't there a house that he bought that?
Well, Prince Mongo.
And for those who don't know, Prince Mongo is just as big a celebrity as Jerry Lawler in Memphis.
Prince Mongo is a character. That's the best way you can describe him. It's always been. He runs for the office of mayor. Like every time there's an election, the two times that I ran, we had a big debate, and they sat me right next to Prince Mongo. And here's all of these. There were like I think 14 different politicians running for office, and the incumbent mayor as well, and everybody's sitting here with suits on and all this kind of stuff. And then Prince Mongo is sitting next to me, and he's got on these airplane goggles. He's got on this long, flowing blonde wig, no shoes, and he never wears shoes ever.
Shoes, right.
And I don't know, it just he's just an outlandish dresser, and he claims to be from another planet. He claims to be from Zambodia, and so he's just, he's become like a folk hero here in Memphis, so to speak. But he's a weird character. But he did at one time have he bought some sort of house and
Ashler Hall,
right. And made it into a nightclub.
Yeah, Prince Mongo's Castle is what.
Is that what it was called? Yeah. Okay, Prince Mongo's Castle, Ashler Hall, and It's not in business anymore.
No, I don't. No, I think that there was actually like an episode of a really popular show they did about Prince Mongo Ashler Hall. About he turned into a nightclub, and the city wasn't too happy because like it's a historical a building.
Yeah, it was. Yes,
and
it was.
People, they're partying in there, drinking, everything. Basically turning into a club, and they weren't too pleased about it. But I think it's not. I don't think he lives there anymore.
Oh, no, he definitely does not live there, and I don't even know if Ashler Hall is still around, but and it's definitely not a nightclub anymore.
Yeah, there's a flyer in the 90s. The Castle, open Thursday to Sunday, 9 p.m. until whenever. The Castle is open and will never close, despite what rumors you, the people of Memphis, have heard.
There was I think the thing that finally got it closed down, the word was there, you could go in there and drink and didn't even have to show an ID or, it was just like, and I think that kind of hurt it.
Yeah, it's not going to fly.
No, that's not going to fly very long.
No. But I thought there was some place, Ashler Hall, Pink Palace, I knew there was like a historical building that he bought and, he turned into his own little
I still
castle.
run into him every now and then. If you happen to, which I do whenever I go out, if I have to go out grocery shopping, I would go late at night, so you can kind of not be noticed or whatever. Right. That's when I run into Prince Mongo at Kroger over here on Mendenhall. Yeah, he's
so where does he live now? Do you know where he lives?
Yeah, he lives off of Mendenhall.
Okay.
Yeah, and he does. I don't know. The word is that he's supposedly, like I said, he claims to be from another planet,
right?
Zambodia, and he's, the word has been for years that he's not of sound mind. right?
No. Come on.
No, that was sort of what the word was out on him. I don't think that's true. I think he's a really pretty shrewd guy.
Right.
But he would do crazy things with his house and his yard, to give the impression that it wasn't just a normal, really a straight thinking person that lived in that house.
Yeah. Prince Mongo.
You can probably go by Prince Mongo's right now and just as you're driving down the street, say, "Oh, there's his house." That's it. Gotta be.
That's crazy. Well, okay. Well, before we talked
What
about
were we talking about? Making a museum out of
making a museum in the South Coliseum, getting the whole Memphis experience. So I've experienced everything in Memphis except for Prince Mongo.
Oh, okay.
So that's the only thing.
Well, once we get this up, I'll let you tweet out a picture of me and Prince Mongo. The last time we hooked up at Kroger together. a lady came up and saw us together, and she said, "Oh my gosh, this is the greatest picture ever, the king and the prince." And so, I thought, okay. And I put my arm around him, and she's get the camera up, just started to take the picture, and he said, "Oh, wait a minute. We got to be holding some flowers." And for some reason, we were sort of in the florist department, right? So he goes over and picks up a couple of bouquets of flowers and hands me one, and he holds one as the lady takes our picture. He's a nut.
Well, check Dinner with King on Twitter, our Twitter account, and you'll see a photo of Prince and the King in Memphis. A Prince and the King in Memphis here on Dinner with the King. Yeah,
not Prince Peyton. Now, there's another Prince, Prince Peyton.
Hey, it's me, Peyton. He's... where is he?
He's over there somewhere probably playing.
He's in the producer's room.
Fortnite or something.
So where are you going to be this weekend? We talked about, the whole Memphis experience. I'm here,
but
I'm
man,
not going to be here anymore.
This is a big weekend we've talked about many times. I've probably today, right? I'm there now as we speak. As this is being listened to. New York Comic Con. Javits Center, New York City, Manhattan. It's the
New York City.
It's the second biggest Comic Con in the world. First, of course, is San Diego Comic Con. But I keep saying this may be the year or next year that New York City will surpass San Diego's Comic Con. It's huge, and so many stars and celebrities are going to be there. All these TV stars and movie stars, and of course then. All the vendors and the artists. That's one of my favorite things. Go in the artist alley and see all of these fantastic artists. And then tons of wrestlers. My booth, I'm always there with Mike Kingston, Headlock Comics. And he sells a ton of the Headlock Comics. This is you told me the name. It's... I can't remember the name of the booth. The name of our booth.
Oh,
I mean the number of our booth.
Oh yeah. On last week's show, if you want to name the number of the booth,
it was on last week's show.
Listen to last week's podcast.
That's
Michael
right.
was a guest.
Yeah. So anyway, the the Headlock Comics that I do and paint and draw all the covers for, and then in his booth he always has myself. I'm going to be there. Lita's going to be there. Trish Stratus is going to be there. Yeah, man, this is going to be great. Christian is going to be there, and Sting. Sting is going to be there. We're going to all be there in that side, the Headlock booth, on different days, signing and taking pictures with everybody and that sort of thing. And got a ton of wrestlers are going to be on hand from WWE.
Yeah, Finn Balor, Bailey, Sasha.
Yeah.
So they're going to be there too.
Yeah. Well, they're probably what the WWE does with those guys. They'll pick out a few of them, and they'll only be there for
a day because they have house
one
shows
day, and then only like 2 hours at a time.
Yeah.
They'll kind of run them in and run them out because they'll have shows that night or whatever. But we'll be there for the duration, just hanging out and taking pictures and signing autographs, shaking hands, kissing babies, all that sort of stuff.
So you'll be there for 4
cosplay
days.
in New York is off the charts.
What do you cosplay as?
Jerry Lawler. Yes. What's left of Jerry Lawler. There he is. Look at that guy. Didn't you used to be Jerry Lawler?
But more importantly, this coming couple of weeks from now, you're going to be, before this, there's a special WWE event that's going to be going on.
You talk about October 16th?
Smackdown 1000.
Smackdown 1000.
The 1000th episode of Smackdown. I was at Raw 1000 in St. Louis. It was on my birthday.
Yes, I was there too. I remember that. And then what about the 25th anniversary of Raw?
Well,
there?
I was not there.
You did not go. You did not get to be there. But this is going to be SmackDown 1000. I was talking with Kevin Dunn the other week. I said, "You're going to need me at SmackDown 1000," and his text me back and said, "I can't imagine you not being there."
Well, you were on the first one.
I was on the first SmackDown ever.
Not the pilot, though. There was a pilot episode of SmackDown, April 1999. And can you guess who the commentators were for that episode of a SmackDown pilot episode?
In 1999.
This was April 27th, 1999. Now,
How many announcers were there?
There were two. Now, the first episode of SmackDown, that counts as number one.
There were two?
Yeah.
I thought there were three on that pilot episode.
There was two.
I thought it was good old JR, Michael Cole, and Jim Cornette.
No.
What?
The pilot episode that took place in April 99 was Michael Cole and Jim Cornette. SmackDown number one.
It wasn't, and JR wasn't with them?
No, SmackDown number one was August 26, 99,
Yeah.
4 months later. And that was The King and JR.
I remember that, but I swear I could have sworn that when we were looking at that earlier that you played something and it was JR too.
No, JR was talking on the first. He was talking on the first one, but the pilot one was Cornette and Michael Cole.
Okay.
Which as big of a wrestling fan as I am, would have thought that Cole and Cornette never did commentary together on Raw, let alone SmackDown.
Well, they did though, didn't they?
They did. So.
But just the pilot show.
Pilot, but SmackDown number one, 1,000 weeks ago, King and JR on the first SmackDown. Now, Monday Night Raw was live at the time, and then you had Tuesday. They taped SmackDown, aired it Thursday, so you had to add. I'm sure you weren't happy with the extra traveling day, were you?
What are you laughing at?
Well, usually you got home Tuesday morning.
Yeah.
You're
right. That was when our gig went from being a most wonderful 1 day a week job. I used to brag about that. Yep, I work 1 day a week. Woohoo! And then it went to two, and I was like in deep depression.
Oh, come on!
Can you imagine? My workload doubled.
Yeah,
I went from working 1 day a week to two.
The SmackDown was fun though.
It was. No, without a doubt, I didn't mind it at all. I did mind it, the fact that I had to be gone an extra day. Yeah. But no, doing the show, it was a lot of fun. And then, how long did JR and I do it? Do you know?
Well, it says on IMDb, which is they keep tallies of how many episodes you've been on for a show, and they said you only been around 200 episodes of SmackDown,
right?
Out of 1,000, but I'm not sure how many you and JR have done.
Oh, okay. Well, I know you're right, because then once it gained, it's got its sea legs, and got up and running on its own. Then then the company tried to
brand split.
They tried to give it its own identity, and having me and JR on both shows, just that didn't work. Right. I mean, so that's where it got split off, and different announcers were on. JR and I were on Raw most of the time, and then they had somebody else on SmackDown. But one of the things that I'll never forget was then when JR got drafted.
I was just going to ask you about this.
To SmackDown.
We talked about it off the air. I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Last time we did a show here, and we pulled the clip up of JR's reaction.
Yeah.
But there's a story behind this, because you guys didn't know?
Oh, no, absolutely did not know.
Yeah.
JR and I never even crossed our minds that they were going to do anything about drafting the commentators, from one show to the other. And then, I think if we had even had an inkling of it, we would have both assumed that they would draft the two of us together,
right?
Just like switch places, right?
Cole and Taz, I think.
Is that that's who was doing it at the time?
I believe Cole and Taz.
Yep.
And then you and JR, and then the next pick was Cole to Raw. So then it was you and Cole, and then Taz, I think, and I believe JR.
Yeah.
On SmackDown. So JR you guys had no clue.
No. And I would love to get JR on here because I mean, that I think that has kind of stuck in his craw till this day. Yeah, because I mean, it was just
he's the voice of Raw. He's
well.
It was, and then you go to SmackDown. Well, was he more upset about that or not being told?
I think he's more upset about not being told.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was just one of those cards where I'm one of those situations where I'm sure that Vince, that I would love to get we need to get JR on here one week and just talk about that. We could I'm sure we could do the whole show talking about that episode.
Right, huh? Give him a call.
let's let him have a little time to digest what we're going to talk about. But yeah, he was very highly upset. And
do you think? And this is just me as a fan, asking when hearing this. Do you think that was kind of like a rib from either Vince or creative to say, "Don't tell him," to see how they react, like on the air?
Yeah,
yeah,
I do 100%.
But you didn't care.
Well, I mean, nothing happened to me other than the fact that all of a sudden JR and I were split up. Yeah, I mean, it was pretty dramatic there, But I like you said, I felt confident that that's what it was. That it was kind of a rib. I mean, and I think at that time. I think it helped both shows, actually. I think it really gave that passion and credibility that JR had for so many years. Brought that to SmackDown to help that out, and then Michael came over to Raw, and I think that was his defining moment. I really felt like that. I don't know. I don't know if like upped his game or whatever would be the way to describe it. But, I felt like Michael all of a sudden that was put him under a tremendous amount of pressure, and he knew he had some big shoes to fill, and he did. He stepped up, and, now, hey, pull up Michael Cole's thing, and he's the voice of Raw, you know, and he that's what he went on to become. So, like I said, I think it was a good move, except that it hurt JR's feelings just not being told beforehand.
Right. When I listen back to old Attitude Raws and when Cole was starting out as an announcer, and sometimes it would be, you and Cole or you and JR, you can tell. Obviously, you and JR have a little more rapport with each other.
Chemistry.
Yeah, chemistry, and you guys can go back and forth. With Cole, he's good at doing the match broadcasting, but I feel like you got to tone yourself down a little bit because you wouldn't get the same reaction with the same.
No,
joke
and you know what? And that came because of Michael. Simply the fact that I had been in the business for so long, and Michael was fairly new at it, and he was intimidated. And it was and with JR and I, we were on a level playing field,
right? And
so anytime you couldn't get the best of JR and get him to get him where his to get his goat, so to speak,
right?
So and I knew that, so I could just get away with absolutely anything, and JR would always have a way to come back on it,
right? With
Michael, it was a little different in the beginning, and so I did have to tone it down a little bit because I could tell that I could make him physically, not physically, but mentally uncomfortable by saying certain things to him that would have just, that JR would have known would just rolled off his back and JR would have had a comeback for it right away.
Right.
Michael was a little bit different personality, but it came, later on it came. That was one of the things that came about with is, growing up under that pressure on Raw.
I mean, I like to hear when things happen. It's cool to hear when things happen like that, to where there's some inside rep going on, a joke that fans don't know about. They just think, okay, well, JR was probably told ahead of time, or the King were told ahead of time. That's not the case. There's one incident with a announcer, not Michael Cole, not JR, but with Joey Styles. You know what I'm talking about?
No.
Okay, so when Joey Styles was kind of like upset about something, and you grabbed the house mic, and you're like, "Come on, Joey, put a smile on your face, lighten up a little bit," and you're like, "Come on, let me hear it, ECW, like hardcore," and Joey's like, "I don't want to do it, King. Let's just do the match, just to call the match," and then he shoves you, and you shove him back like you're playing around, like, "Yeah, that's what I hear. I want to get some energy from you, Joey," and then he shoves you hard, and you get all upset, and you like, little idiot, and you shove him down, and then he goes to the back. You guys go to commercial, and then you come out of the commercial, and you're like, you have the house mic. You're like, "I'm sorry, Joey, come back out here. We'll do the show. I'm sorry for shoving you. Come back out." And he comes out and does like a quote unquote shoot interview about like not being good enough to call Backlash, how he's done shows by himself or ECW. But you remember that? You remember that at all?
Yeah. Not a shoot at all.
No, obviously not.
No.
I'm sure they wouldn't let him go out there and say what he said.
Right. No, that was all laid out just the way it went.
Yeah. No, I watched ECW. I love Joey as a commentator. But it's just one of those things when you hear JR and the King together, you guys have that chemistry that sticks out when you put JR with someone else and you put King with someone else. It's
But you know what? I have never been put with anybody that I just felt like, oh, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've been able to. I've felt comfortable with everybody that I've worked with. I really liked working with Joey, and I'll tell you this, how that's the one thing that was always in my mind. I thought, I don't know how on earth people could do it, like do a one-man broadcast.
Yeah.
Oh, and how Joey did that on ECW all those years, that was just amazing to me. And I know a couple of times something would happen on the show where either JR would be gone for a little bit, and all of a sudden I would have to try to do a little bit of a match by myself. Oh, that was the most. I could just feel my face heating up, like my blood pressure going sky high as I'm trying to, Vince is back there listening, hanging on every word, and there's nobody out there, no safety net, no help at all, and you're just trying to do it by yourself. And that was like some of the worst moments ever for me. So I had a lot of respect for Joey, but I mean, everybody that I ever worked with, I felt comfortable with. I don't have anybody that I just didn't like to work with.
Yeah, like a Matt Stryker or a Morrow. We saw a little bit.
I loved working with Morrow.
Yeah.
I honestly loved working with Morrow. I really did. I mean, Morrow was like fun because he was one of those guys, as far as I was go, I could play off so many things that he would say and his enthusiasm and all of that sort of stuff, almost like I did with JR, in the fact that he would be so over the top that I could play off that in so many ways, and all of the technical holds and names of things that I had no clue what they were. I could make fun of all of those things and everything, but I really enjoyed working with him.
There's one with JR. Back to JR. There's one stint that JR was a heel. Like mid '90s.
Yeah.
And it was like Michael Cole was just starting out, and it was.
Didn't JR come out and put his desk put the desk right in front of us?
He had it built there, like live during the show.
Yeah.
But there was an incident where JR's in the ring, and he go, "I won't call Michael Cole out here." And Cole comes in, Cole's looking just so young, so fresh, as a little baby, and this is when JR was trying to be a heel.
Right.
And the crowd was just not buying it because JR a heel, you can't.
No,
you can't
they loved him so much.
Yeah, but they were trying hard, and JR goes, "Look at you, got a nice shirt, you got a pretty little smile. You're not as big as me. Look at you, a little thin boy." He goes, "Who was the first person, that told you didn't need anything? If you need anything, come to me. I'll help you out."
Yeah.
He goes, then he had, JR had that incident with
Bell's palsy.
Yeah. And I guess he goes, "Oh, Michael Cole said we can't put him on TV. He'll scare the kids. We'll scare everybody." So then I think JR kicked Cole in the nuts, square right in the nuts.
These nuts.
But JR brought in Dr. Death, Steve Williams.
Yep.
For a little bit, but that was JR as a heel was cool to watch when you look back at it now, but during the time, you just even though JR kicked somebody in the nuts and was complaining about
first of all, it would probably work better had it been anybody but Michael Cole.
Yeah.
But I think if he'd have kicked me in the nuts, it probably would have. It would
have worked.
Yeah.
But would you allow that?
No. Well, I mean, if it said that was part of the angle or whatever, but
you can't hate JR. You can't.
No, it's hard. Yeah, it was tough for JR to be a heel.
Did he like doing that?
I don't think he minded it. I think it was just something, it was something fun that he hadn't really tried. I'll tell you something, Michael Cole loved it.
Yeah.
He loved doing the heel thing. But and then this was just like, as Vince would say, then it could only go so far because you needed to, the main commentator, the main play-by-play guy just had to be neutral. You couldn't really be one way or the other. Yeah. But when we did the little deal, leading up to WrestleMania and everything, Cole he was loving that.
I thought it was a little over the top. Just it
went a little too far with him. But some of the stuff, until it did go a little over the top. But I mean, some of the stuff, like when he brought, he talked about my mom and everything who had just passed away, and brought Brian on there. When it got the personal stuff, the realistic type stuff, that was, that was good. But then you're right, it got a little over the top with him being inside the
coal mine,
and all that,
Well, I just thought the commentary was a little bit, even when he was hating on Daniel Bryan, when Daniel Bryan first came in, it was just annoying, and it wasn't like heel heat like you get from this a bad guy. It was just like go away heat.
Well, I don't know. I there's two ways to look at that. Yeah. I think that Michael Cole had enough heat that when he was hating so bad on Daniel Bryan, that really, really helped Daniel Bryan get over.
Yeah, yeah. I just at the time I'd be like, is there an option to turn off Michael Cole? But he does a fantastic job. I mean, you got to give 20 plus years.
Oh man,
he started out as a comedy act with The Rock. The Rock would make fun of him with his frosted tips.
Yep.
And then look at him now. He's the head commentator for Raw.
There you go.
But yeah, you worked with a lot of people over the years. But like I said, there's nothing can compare the chemistry between you and JR. You notice it when you pair with someone else. But the one time that Vince and you and JR were all together, and the thing was,
I really love that.
And the thing was that JR's mic never worked all the time,
right.
And you're like, here, use mine, or mine's working, and Vince would be like, oh, we'll get someone on that right now.
Yeah, and we talked about this that
a little bit, yeah,
about the fact that how I don't know how good or whatever or how underrated it was, but Vince's commentary to me, even though it was considered kind of over the top, I loved it.
Oh, I loved it too.
I mean, I really enjoyed listening to him. That's some of my most fun, enjoyable things to do is go back on the WWE Network and watch some of the shows with Vince, doing the commentary. And I think it got, once he became a little more of a character himself, rather than at first, I mean, he played the straight announcer to the T,
right.
But then he came a little bit more of a character to it. I loved working with him.
Obviously he ran the shows when he would do commentary. I mean, how did that work if Vince is doing commentary and he's the main guy, he's the one deciding everything?
Yeah, you know what, that was, you're right, that was totally different from what it became.
Right.
Once when Vince was out there doing commentary at the ring, he wasn't running the whole show then, but then so much of it, so much of that, a lot of the shows I can remember was taped, like sometimes we would just be out there and we would just do opens and closes and then we'd go back and do the commentary at the studio and things like that. But yeah, when we were doing something like a pay-per-view or whatever, he was just, he didn't have control of the show when he was out there doing the commentary that he does, that today. He does now, that right. He does today. Yeah.
Yeah. It's I always thought about that. Like, how can Vince do both? But figure with a taped aspect.
He
can run the show, but also do commentary with you later on. Yeah. Did you like doing the taped? I mean, I can go back and you can probably make a mistake, or did the live aspect fit more with what you?
Oh no, I love the live aspect.
Yeah,
much more. There's nothing. That's the reason that Raw and now SmackDown Live is as good as it is because that live aspect. You can't. Even though if you make a mistake, if the show was taped, you made a mistake, you could go back and fix it. It still wasn't. It didn't have that spontaneity. It didn't have that instant realism, that a live show has. Yeah. And that was a great thing. Vince would always say, hey, it's live. Nothing can go wrong.
Right.
That's his main, statement he was known for. And he was right. I mean, anything that happened, that was part of the show.
Right.
So, you just went with it.
Well, this whole conversation has steered from SmackDown 1000 to commentators and
you're right.
broadcast
How'd that
partners. But it kind of ties into, it's been 1 year since Lance Russell passed away.
Oh, well, yeah.
It's been a fast year. But with 1 year since Lance passed away, I saw a bunch of people on Facebook and Twitter, post has been 1 year. So a lot of people posted videos of Lance. And I know people go back and listen to our episode. We just talked about Lance and played some classic audio and whatnot. But can't believe it's been a year, King.
Yeah, I was just looking at some of the different tweets. Randy Hales has put up a lot of things on Facebook and tweets and everything the past couple days. And one of my all-time favorite things with Lance, where Lance, he sort of knew it was coming, but he didn't know how rough it was going to be or whatever. And his reaction and the look on his face were just priceless. Was the time when Dream Machine came out. We just made a video of the Dream Machine to the song Alley Oop.
Yeah.
And they played that, and then suddenly, boom, after the break, here comes Dream Machine out to confront Lance.
You think it's funny?
Oh my gosh, he snatched Lance. And that was one of our things, in the WWE, have the no touch policy on a lot of people. Well, we sort of had an unwritten no touch policy on Lance. You just did that, it was just known. You don't touch Lance Russell or Dave Brown. And man, for Dream Machine to come out, snatch Lance up by his lapels, basically lift him up off the ground, and then slam him down on his back.
Yeah,
down, and then you could even see Eddie Marlin coming out and Jerry Jarrett coming out. They like panicked. I think they might have thought Dream Machine had snapped. Yeah. And that's what it looked like, and it was so great. But Lance was. Gosh, there's just no way to tell you how valuable he was to Memphis Wrestling. He was. Lance and Dave were Memphis Wrestling. It wasn't the wrestlers. It was Lance and Dave. They were that one constant that were there for all of those years. They were your buddies that you woke up to every Saturday morning in the Mid-South, and Lance and Dave were there no matter what. And the wrestlers would come and go, but you always knew Lance and Dave were going to be there, and it was just. He was the best.
Voice of reason.
Yeah,
always. Add to that clip. I think we watched it the other day, and Jimmy Hart comes out and was like playing with Lance's like fictionally.
Trying to smooth his jacket down there. Yeah,
classic clip. Well, it's already been an hour. For the podcast. Wrap it up. So SmackDown 1000. You going to be there? Yes or no? Yay, nay?
Look, I see me and you on TV.
There we go. We're on Fox News right now.
We're on Fox News right now. Whoa.
But SmackDown 1000, yay, nay?
Well, I hope so. I mean,
if you had a bet. If you had a bet.
If I had a bet, I'd say yay.
Okay, yay.
Yeah.
Hopefully you and JR are there.
Yeah, I would hope so.
And then the following week starts your, week-long venture for Florida, right?
After SmackDown 1000. On the 13th of October, we're gonna show up in Dyersburg. Going to be wrestling up in Dyersburg, Tennessee. Burt Prentice is putting on a big extravaganza, a night fit for a king up in Dyersburg, Tennessee. And Dyersburg was one of our all-time, in the Tennessee territory, Memphis territory. Dyersburg's maybe 70, 75 miles straight north of Memphis. And that was one of our monthly towns that we wrestled in for so many years. And some of my great stories are from the little arena that we used to wrestle in Dyersburg. We used to wrestle in a little American Legion building there. And one night, Sam Bass talked me into it was like 90, 100 degrees or something that night, and there was only one door in, and I don't even know how. I think this was back before the fire marshals were even thought of.
Right.
They didn't have these things where a fire marshal would come in and say, "Oh, look, you only got one exit door here. You can't have this many people in this building." But anyway, there was one entrance and one exit. You would go in the front door. Boom, as you got in there, there was a little small concession stand. You would get whatever you wanted. You turn left, and then at the end of the concession stand, you'd turn right, and you'd go out into this, what would be the arena part of it, the building that had bleachers all the way around, and it would seat maybe 500 people or something like that. And then the little two dressing rooms were right up just to the left of that hallway where you went down into the building. So we're out there one night, and what they would do once everybody got inside, they would keep that front door open, and then they would set one of those big oscillating, or not oscillating, but just one of those big old fans that come up on the. There was no air conditioning in the building, right?
Fan.
Yeah, but a real big one that would shoot a lot of air right down that hallway into the. That was the only breeze that you would have in the whole place, because once you got that place full, it was just sweltering in there, right? And this only air would be coming from that fan right down the hallway and then out into the building. And I don't know how it happened, but anyway, Sam Bass and I were sitting in our dressing room, and the first or second match was going on. And a friend of ours who was a policeman or highway patrolman at the time had given Sam a can of mace. So we're going through, we're opening our bags up, starting to put our gear on and everything, and there was that can of mace. And I said, I looked at it and I said, man, what do you think would happen, Sam, if I snuck out the door here and sprayed some of that mace in the back of that fan?
Oh, no.
Worst idea I ever had, right? And, of course, Sam loved it. He started a double dog. I triple dog dare you, right? So, anyway, I get the mace. I walk outside the dressing room door, and I just start shooting it right up into that fan.
Yeah. And
then I closed the door and ran back inside, right? Man, it took about 30 seconds, and all of a sudden you get, oh my gosh! Everybody, they had to clear out the whole arena. They had to come through that and go out the front door to get everybody out there. I got fired. Nick Goulas fired me when.
Who snitched on you, or did you confess?
Well, there was nobody in the dressing room except me and Sam at that time, so they knew it was one of us. And then, I confessed at that point, and I got fired for a couple weeks. You're fired.
I realized they're firing Jerry Lawler.
But that's Dyersburg. But anyway, I always love going back to Dyersburg. A lot of great wrestling fans that remember some of those crazy days.
Well, you should relive that moment.
That's October 13th.
On October 13th, relive them.
I'll take a can of mace and spray it all around the building.
If you do that now, you'll probably be getting jail.
Oh, without a doubt.
And then you have, 14th, something going on? Or?
Well, the 20th and 21st is the Memphis Comic Expo. It's not quite as big as the New York Comic Con, but it's our Memphis Comic Con that we do every year. I'll probably have the Batmobile over there. Yeah, no, I was wondering if you asked me, you still have that Batmobile there, Jerry? That didn't even get a rise out of Peyton over there on the couch.
I think he's sleeping.
No, he's just raised up. Where you at, Peyton? Oh, okay. I was trying to get a rise out of him because I just did an interview not too long ago with my great friend George Klein.
Okay.
Jeeker in your speaker here in Memphis, Tennessee, and he's getting inducted into the Memphis Music Hall of Fame. It may have just been last week or so, and George was the best man. He was best friends with Elvis Presley. Oh. He was best man at Elvis's wedding to Priscilla. And he's been on Memphis radio for years and years. He's still on the Elvis channel on Sirius Radio. George has done that for many years, and he would call me from the Elvis channel, and he will call me like he'd call me like once every couple months and just do a little interview, and we would pretty much always be the same interview. I'd tell the story about how Elvis and I, at one time, Vernon Presley, his dad, and I talked, and before Elvis passed away, we were in the process of setting up a match.
Right.
Elvis and me, martial arts against wrestling at the Mid-South Coliseum. And then, we had it kind of pretty much finalized with his dad, and then, boom, Elvis passed away. But anyway, and George, we would always talk about that little story. And then back in the day, a long time ago, Elvis would go to the wrestling matches on Monday night down at the old Ellis Auditorium back in the 60s, and when watch the matches. The Guy Coffey would let him. Guy Coffey, our guy that worked with our Memphis Wrestling for years, managed the Ellis Auditorium, and he would let Elvis come in, kind of sneak him in the back, and then let him sit up on the stage, and he would just watch the matches from, peel the curtains back and watch from the stage up there by himself. And so he met Penny Banner, this girl, really hot-looking girl wrestler back in the 60s, and Elvis dated Penny Banner for a period of time, several dates with her. And so we would talk about that story. And then not too long after that, had George Klein over to my house one day. They were filming a little documentary, and he came over to my house, and we were out there, and he looked at the Batmobile and all that sort of stuff. And so anyway, not all that long ago, George called me one day, and we were talking about, he was asking me some questions, and this was live on the Sirius or XM radio, and he had a co-host on with him doing the thing, and George was starting to get just a little bit of dementia, and but he's still pretty sharp. But anyway, he had that old terrific announcer voice, where the radio DJs used to call it puking. It'd be like, "Hey, you're on the radio right now," and George was great with that kind of voice. Hey, this is George Klein, right? And so he's doing an interview with me that day live on the radio. He says, "Hey, a lot of people may not realize, but Jerry has a Batmobile. He's got a Batmobile in his garage. Jerry, you still have that Batmobile out there?" And I'd say, "Yeah, George, I still got it. I get it out every now and then and drive it around." And he said, "Yeah, that's right. And, Jerry, remember, who was that girl wrestler that Elvis dated?" And I said, "That was Penny Banner, George. Remember, we talked about how," he said, "Yes, that's right, Penny Banner. Yeah, Elvis was quite fond of her. Hey, Jerry, you still got that Batmobile out there in your garage?"
Oh, no.
Yeah. And it went on like that for about 4 times. He asked me about the Batmobile.
Oh.
But anyway, I haven't talked to George in a while. I need to give him a call, and I hope he's doing well. A real good friend of ours, and his just passed away recently. And he was the guy that was kind of Herbie O'Mell had been in Memphis music for years, and was kind of taking care of George. And then all of a sudden, Herbie passed away a few months ago, and so I haven't. I've talked to George once since, but he's a great guy. How did we get talking about George Klein?
You tell me.
I don't remember now.
The Batmobile. For some reason, the Batmobile.
Hey, look, I'm doing that. I'm getting like George now.
We talked about the Memphis Expo. How you drive the Batmobile out there.
Batmobile at the Memphis Comic
Expo. The Batmobile
Expo.
joke, and then it turned into the whole story.
Oh, boy. Anyway, that's the Memphis Comic Expo is October the 20th and the 21st. That's Saturday and Sunday out at the Agri Center. So we'll be out there with the Batmobile. And then Florida. Then it's Florida.
In Florida. You're going to be in Florida for a few days, and then you're going to be on the Jericho Cruise.
The Jericho Cruise.
It's finally here.
This is so crazy. I've done everything you can think of, I would think, flown all over the place and driven all over the place, but never, ever have I been on a cruise.
Live wrestling.
It's going to be big. Oh, concerts. My gosh. He's got all sorts of things. JR and I guess, JR's going to be on there with us.
You guys are the hosts.
We're the host of the cruise. So that's going to be a lot of fun. And I guess there's going to be live wrestling, like you say. Guys are going to be doing their podcast. I think I wonder if we could do a podcast from the cruise ship.
If you got internet, you can. You call me up. I'll be in Cleveland.
I guess Chris is going to do his. He's going to do his podcast with JR and I.
Yeah.
on the cruise.
Make sure you plug Dinner with the King.
Oh, I'll plug Dinner with the King, of course. But anyway, yeah, that's going to be coming up the 27th through the 31st.
Yeah, so you're going to be on a cruise for Halloween.
Yeah, so they're going to have a big Halloween party on the cruise, I think.
Ooh, where are you going to be?
What am I going to be?
Yeah.
Probably seasick.
Do you get seasick?
I don't know. I've never been on a cruise.
No. Does Lauren?
I don't know. She's never been on a cruise either.
No, you guys could be both sick on this on a cruise.
Oh, Lord.
Wouldn't that be something?
It'd be terrible.
I'll call you up and be like, how's the cruise going? I've been sick the whole time.
The only thing I could compare it to was one time years and years ago, Jerry Jarrett, Tojo Yamamoto, Eddie Marlin, and Jackie Fargo. That's quite a crew.
Yeah.
We all went deep sea fishing we rented this boat. We went down to Pensacola, Florida.
Okay.
We went out on this pretty big boat. I say big. It was like
a yacht, or was it?
It wasn't so much a yacht as it was like a fishing boat in the fact that, but it had it had a tall little deal where the captain would be up in the top of the thing driving the ship or whatever. And then down below in the hull of it, there were some places where you could sleep.
Okay.
I mean, so it was a kind of big thing. And that's what we did. We went out, I don't know how many miles, and we're going to spend the night out there because there was something like shark fishing at night is really cool, right? And we were going to spend the night out and then come back, fish a little bit the next morning, then come back in. Well, anyway, we got out there, and everything was cool going out. It didn't bother me at all, and didn't bother anybody. And then suddenly, somehow, I don't know what happened. This like huge storm came up at night, in the middle of the night.
Oh boy!
Oh my gosh!
At sea?
At sea. Yeah, we're stuck out there, and this huge storm came up, and this boat is just—it wasn't like it was just swaying. It was like the waves were tossing it up out of the water, and and sand bass was on that thing too. Anyway. I remember the bilge pump started making some noise. Water was getting into the bottom of the boat. This bilge pump alarm was going off, and this captain, it's like 2:00 in the morning. All of a sudden, he crawls out of the bunk, and up he goes to try to get up in the top of the boat, to steer or something. And I never forget. I told Sam, I said that'd be the last time we see him, and because the boat was just going crazy, and it was throwing us out of the bunks and everything, and everybody except for me and Sam got sick as a dog. I mean, everybody was throwing up everywhere. They all got so terribly seasick, but I didn't. So hopefully, and that was not just like a cruise.
Right,
that was a big storm. It was like the Perfect Storm movie or something.
So it was like Jaws. You guys are going out.
Yes, it was a sort of a boat about like Jaws.
So who was the from the Jaws movie? Who was?
And then it's pretty much the next morning when we finally the sun came up, there was the captain that I said we'd never see again. He had a big split over his eye. He needed stitches. He got banged around and it cut. He had a big cut on his forehead there.
Did any of you guys sit around and sing "Show Me the Way to Go Home"?
No, not.
Show me the way to go.
I'll never forget little Tojo. Tojo's kind of a little heavy-set guy, a little round face and everything. He caught a fish. He caught a puffer fish, and it looked just like Tojo. It was a little round fish with these little lips and these little spikes coming out, and we all laughed and said, "Tojo, the fish looks just like you." Shut up, you son of a gun, you son of a gun. Anyway, and then I caught a big fish that I fought with, and it was like insane. I'm thinking, man, this is going to be like a monster.
Yeah.
Right. And sure enough, if we finally got it up on, and we had
driftwood.
Thank goodness. No, it was a big fish. Thank goodness we had electric reels. If I'd had to do it, reel the thing in, but this was these electric reels, and you'd do the electric thing, and the end of the the reel would the rod would go all the way down the water, and then you'd have to struggle to pull it up, and then boom, hit the button, and down it would go again, and struggle to pull up. I fought this thing for like 45 minutes, and then they finally got it up into the boat, and I forget what they called it, but they said, "Nah, it's no good as a trash fish," and it wasn't even worth keeping, right? But it was huge.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, it just looked like a big old fish, but they said, Can't eat it or anything like that. They just sliced it off and threw it back in. You know.
Wow.
Yeah, it seemed like it was like bigger than a bathroom door or something.
We could have that in King's Man Cave on the wall.
I could have had it mounted. Everybody walk in and go, big carp.
Big carp.
What's that thing doing there? Right?
Carp. But no sharks, though.
No, we didn't even see any sharks.
If you caught a shark, though, you could have been a hero in Jaws.
Jerry Jarrett's son Jason caught a shark one time
Yeah.
down at Sanibel, and that was a funny story too. They had the shark brought. He finally got the shark up on the shore. Wasn't even in a boat. He was standing out
casting
and
out
casting
from
out,
shore?
right?
Yeah.
And this shark was about 5 feet long, huge, big shark.
Yeah.
And they got it. They got it up on the shore, and they wanted to have it like mounted, and so they took it in, and they told him how much it cost. I don't know, like a couple $1,500 or something like that to have this thing mounted. And Jerry said, "I don't care. I want to have it mounted." And so, anyway, they waited like 4, 5, 6 weeks or whatever, and finally this huge box comes to Hendersonville, Tennessee. He leaves the fish down there, and this huge box comes, and Jerry opens it up. It's like the Christmas story, he's opening this box up, and it's got all the stuff inside, and he's throwing out the straw and everything, and everything gets down to the bottom, and here's this big old plastic fish.
What?
That was spray painted. Oh my gosh, he was so mad. He was mad at JR when he got shipped to Smackdown. And then he called up and they said, "Oh no, I thought you knew that. You can't use the real fish. You just take a mold of the fish and they make it out of fiberglass or plastic or something like that." And so
Oh my God.
and it was not even spray painted very well. So it just looked like a big old plastic painted fish. It wasn't even something you would enjoy.
He was duped.
Yeah, kind of got duped.
Duped.
I've been duped into being on this podcast for a
You
long
keep
time
talking.
today.
I haven't said anything in this podcast this week. All right, so you'll be the Jericho Cruise, and November is going to come up. We'll get
Man, we didn't even talk about the Browns.
no.
How mad I was with the Browns.
Yes, it's a good thing. And the podcast.
How mad I was with the officiating of that Browns game.
Awful.
Awful.
Terrible. Well, we got Indians coming up.
Indians coming up. Oh, please, Indians.
Please.
They haven't won the World Series since before I was born.
The year before you were born.
The year before I was born, the last time the Indians won the World Series. You think my life has been a jinx to the Indians? It could be.
Oh, boy. So Indians coming up. You got Browns in full force. Softball season's in full force. The fall season.
Yep.
So here we are for Halloween. Here we are for October, my favorite month. Monster month.
That's the only day of the year that you can go out of your house and look normal, right?
Yep.
Halloween.
Give me all the Halloween jokes. Come on, lay them on me.
Okay. I just felt sorry for you, Glenn. I knew when you were a kid they couldn't afford a jack-o'-lantern. They just stuck you in the window, right? Is that true?
I remember you told Peyton those, and he got so upset.
Look, he's mad over there now.
He's mad. Peyton's mad.
The Halloween jokes, remember?
I will say this.
What?
We were at downtown last Thursday.
Downtown?
Downtown. Thursday. Thursday for a show. And we were standing around, Peyton and I, while you were doing your thing.
Mm-hmm.
And a person comes up to us who listens to the podcast.
Oh.
And he goes, "Hey, Glenn, nice to meet you." And
This is down on Beale Street at Handy Park.
Yes.
Yeah.
And, he always said, if Jerry's out and about, sometimes if you see a big guy with Jerry, usually it's me. So, hey, Glenn, how are you? And then he goes, Peyton was with me. He goes, I'm like, oh, this is Peyton. He goes, Peyton from the podcast? And Peyton was
really?
Peyton got all smiling. Like, yeah, I'm on the podcast twice.
Wow.
So he was happy. So if you see a little stinker hanging around with Jerry, it's usually Peyton.
Probably Peyton.
Probably Peyton.
Or Lauren. One of the two.
Lauren. You're going to be Australia?
No, definitely not going to be in Australia. No.
And you're going to go to Saudi Arabia?
What about, did you see Raw Monday night?
Yeah. It was like an Attitude Era ending.
Yeah. It was. It was kind of cool.
Yeah.
But Shawn Michaels, when the hat came off, what?
Where'd the hair go?
Where did his hair? When did he lose all his hair?
I think he buzzed it off a couple months ago.
That didn't look like buzzed.
Well,
That looked like Stone Cold Steve Austin shaved.
Shaven?
It looked like it.
I think he did it for a movie.
Oh,
and then
there you
he
go.
just has kept the look.
Oh, okay.
Because he was in the Marine 6.
Well, I was kind of shocked.
I was shocked too. The cowboy hat came flying off.
Yep.
I was a little bit shocked. And the Undertaker.
What about him?
I mean, his hair is going a little bit. Whew. I feel old. You know, these are guys that I watched the Attitude Era, and now they're looking old.
Look at your hair.
I know. I had hair too one time. And I'm getting old.
Oh, well.
We're all getting old, Jerry. Lou's getting old. Everybody's getting old. All right, let's wrap it up. Any final words?
Yeah, tell them about the fact that we've spent all day working on mystery boxes.
Mystery boxes.
You love a mystery box, don't you?
KingJerryLawler.com/store if you want to buy a mystery box. King also has some exclusive merch on the store. You might see some shirts, some exclusive shirts worn.
Well, that's one of the cool things about the mystery box, too.
Yeah. You know, every box gets a shirt.
Pretty much.
But the shirts.
And a lot of cool stuff.
Yeah.
It's a mystery. I can't tell you. Don't ask me what's in it.
And every box is different.
That's the mystery to it.
Yeah. So if you order one, if you order a second one, it's going to be different than the first.
Mm-hmm. Might have some original art. Might have, who knows what's all in these mystery boxes.
I mean, we have everything.
Even I don't know. That's the mystery of it.
Yeah. Everything. You have DVDs, CDs. You have artwork. We have photos signed. We have different pictures.
I saw one go out today that had a Matt and Jeff Hardy book in it. A brand new book. A book.
Jeez. We're
all kind of stuff in there.
We'll grab something. KingJerryLawler.com/store is the website. We have a shirt up there for sale. Well, as of right now, hopefully it's sold by now because of a friendly bet between King and I. But it's a bedazzled.
Bedazzled. That sounds so cheesy.
Blinged out.
It's blinged out, not
blinged
bedazzled.
Out King Jerry Lawler shirt exclusive. The only one that Jerry has. It's worn. And it's on the website right now, KingJerryLawler.com/store if you want to buy it. If you get it, there's only one, so don't wait.
And it's signed. It's not something I don't think you'd want to buy and just start wearing just because I wore it.
Some people would.
It looks almost like new, but I mean, you know.
So signed too?
Yeah, I think it's better to like hang it up or something. You know,
it's on the store. It's in the store. That's what we're trying to get to.
Greetings, wrestling fans. This is Dave Dynasty, host of the Dave Dynasty Show, the podcast that every week brings you nearly 2 hours of pro wrestling goodness from the Midwest. We feature interviews with the legends of the past, stars of today, and the prospects of tomorrow. We have segments that feature classic wrestling audio, whole episodes devoted to the history of Midwest pro wrestling, and much, much more. Do not miss an episode of the Dave Dynasty Show. We are available on all podcast platforms, or you can access past episodes and all of our social media links by visiting davedynasty.com. Be good, be safe, and keep on growing.
All right, Glenn.
KingJerryLawler.com for his website, podavenue.com/king for all the podcast links, iTunes, YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on iHeartMedia, we're on all the podcast apps. So you listen to previous episodes of Dinner with the King.
We have wasted a lot of people's a lot of time today, haven't we?
People love this. They want more. We want more.
You can't get any more of this.
Well, you'd be surprised. We're also on Patreon if you want to co-host the episode.
Yeah, that was fun.
Yeah, that was fun. We'll be doing those a little bit more. So we'll come back next week for another Dinner with the King. Jerry, final word.
Final word once again is see you later.
I'll tell you what, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for being with us here tonight on Smackdown here on UPN. I'm Jim Ross, along with Jerry the King Lawler.
The preceding show is a Pod Avenue production.